We are with Phil Patel, who's Vodacom's Chief Commercial Officer. What does Vodacom's Chief Commercial Officer do, Phil?
Well, I get to play with little toys like this every single day of the week. It's the best job in the world, I tell you.
All right. Now, that's an interesting accent. Where does it come from?
Born in New Zealand, but left New Zealand in 1989.
Okay, cut that part. He's a New Zealander, he's a Kiwi, he's a Kiwi. No, I'm just joking.
No. Actually, home from me now is actually Hong Kong.
Okay.
But I've been in South Africa now 2 years. Best place in the world. It's amazing.
Well, listen, it's nice to have you here, and I'm very excited about the Vodacom Smart Kicka, this device that you're launching, coming in at a price which we'll talk about in a second. But I can't believe this Vodacom branded phone that you're holding in your hands. It feels incredibly fantastic on the hands. The build quality is pretty decent. I can't believe the price, but why is Vodacom making their own phones? I mean, branding their own phones.
You know, I mean, I think it was only a year ago. The price of a phone like this was about 900 Rand.
Yes.
You know, and 900 Rand's quite expensive. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, our big strategy, our big aspiration is really to be Africa's largest internet provider.
Yeah.
You know, and today we've got 25 million across Africa, 25 million active data users, internet users, and we think we can more than double that in the next couple of years. But obviously, one of the key barriers is the cost of this device.
Yeah.
And at 900 Rand in South Africa, the majority of the people can't afford it. And we didn't really see the big players, the big vendors, the big traditional handset manufacturers going off and focusing on this area of the marketplace. So we thought, let's go work with our group team. Let's go work in China with all of the manufacturers in China, and let's design a device specifically for South Africa. So we've actually designed this device for South Africa to try and challenge the entry-level price point. This device is going to be sold all the way around the world with Vodafone, but it's a device designed for us. And the price point, we really wanted to design a smartphone without compromise for less than $50 US, actually 549 Rand.
Because it's running Google's Android operating system, and in fact, what you said now is quite interesting, because I remember being in a keynote address with Google's Eric Schmidt about 3 years ago, and at the time the entry devices came in at about $175, and he said as soon as the smartphone prices come in at about a $50 price point, then you're going to see smartphone penetration increase, and this is exactly what you're aiming to do. But you're attaching your name to a phone that is pretty sturdy. The specs are pretty decent, and it's not running an older version of Android. It's running 4.2.2, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's the reason why I say without compromise, because I mean, when you buy an entry-level device, you know, you could get it cheaper if you wanted to, but the problem is the battery life not very long.
Yes.
The other thing is you'll notice the speed of the process is not very fast.
Yeah.
And some of the entry-level devices, they don't even have any memory in them. So when you actually try and download an application, you actually can't download an application.
Yeah.
So we've actually designed this to actually be a proper device. I mean, it's got enough battery life for a full day. It's 1400 milliamps. It's got a 3.5-inch screen. It's the latest version of Android, so all of the applications work. And in terms of the memory, it's got 4 gigabytes of memory and 512 on board. So you can download apps, it will work out of the box, no compromise at all, at the low price point.
But that's seriously impressive, Phil, because you know there are lots of these devices in the market at the moment. There's the El Cheapo devices, but you haven't compromised on any of the quality. I mean, this is a really solid device. But a device is completely useless if you can't use the data properly and if the data is expensive. I mean, the price is great. But I see you've introduced power bundles with us. Now tell us where Vodacom is going with the strategy of power bundles, because it's a different approach to your prepaid strategy up to now, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, once you have the device in people's hands, that's only the start. We really want customers to be able to affordably use it every single day of the week. And so, I mean, if you're a customer that can afford 2 gig at 69 Rand, you're okay. And obviously, 2 gigs more than enough for most people. But the reality is, a significant part of our customers, they can't afford 69 Rand a month.
Sure.
So we're looking at different options to make it affordable to buy it on almost a small packet sort of a size.
Yeah.
So you know, customers that can only afford a few cents a day or a few dollars or a few Rand per day, we've introduced power bundles. What power bundles are, very, very simply, is it's a time-based way of buying access. So just like when you go into an internet cafe and you buy an hour of usage, you can buy an hour of internet usage for just 3 Rand. Now it has a limitation, it's up to 50 meg, but it's an hour of usage, and it's transparent and it's very affordable for most customers.
It's pretty decent. So what I'm hearing from you is that you really are customizing the experience, so you can tailor whatever you want to your needs. You can tailor the data accordingly, and that works pretty well.
So if you just want to buy an hour to upload the latest bunch of photos, or if you just want to send a resume as quickly as you possibly can, it's the most affordable way of using the internet.
Yeah. Okay, so Phil, interesting about the power bundles, but there's a lot of focus on the flat rates. Is this what customers want?
Well, I think there's a lot of focus on the flat rates, but I guess if you're a young person these days, you probably don't care about voice so much. I don't know if you have kids or not, but...
Yes, absolutely. I've actually seen my daughter's voice traffic come down significantly.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
using a lot more data today than she was, say, 3 years ago, and less voice calls.
I've found it, my son and even my wife, they don't call me anymore. It's amazing. So they care more about data rates these days. So
do they at least
really
WhatsApp you, Phil? Do they at least WhatsApp you?
Sometimes, sometimes, but yeah, they care about data. And so, I mean, we need to focus more on more data. Of course, the younger generations in particular, it's all focused on data. And so voice flat rates, whatever. I think the really key thing also is customers don't want a flat rate. They actually want to know transparently how much they're going to get to use. And they actually want to use a heck of a lot more. Our view on this is very, very simple. You're going to know how much you're going to get charged, and you're going to be able to use significantly more than what you thought you'd be able to. So for example, a power hour. You get charged 10 Rand, and you get to use for an hour. So it's a little bit more up front, but you get to use a whole lot more. So our strategy is what we call much more for more. So you pay a little bit more, but you actually get to use it a much more. And we think that customers want transparency. They want certainty of how much they can use. And that's, I guess, the philosophy behind all of our bundles. So it's not just power hour, it's 10 Rand for 60 minutes. It's also on internet now with power bundles. It's 3 Rand, pay a little bit more up front, but you get a whole hour of use with that limitation of the 15 gigs.
So it's really about that flexibility to design your package according to your needs.
Exactly, absolutely. And it doesn't matter whether you want to buy for an hour or for a week or for a whole day or for a month. You have flexible options, so you can purchase whatever fits you and whatever fits your wallet for that time of the month.
So, I mean, this may be a high-spec phone, but it doesn't have LTE, for example, and people don't expect to get LTE. But where I'm going with this is that when I spoke to the Vodacom Group CEO, Shamil Yusuf, the other day, he was telling us about how the rollout of 3G towers is still an ongoing process, and this is very much dependent on that. And it's interesting that you've rolled out quite a bit of 3G across the country.
I mean, very, very simply, our aspiration is to be the largest internet company in South Africa. By quite a significant margin, and of course the part of that is, of course, in South Africa we have no fixed or very limited fixed internet. So if you look at in the greater urban areas, the greater rural areas, of course people who live in townships, the only way of accessing the internet is us. And I think the reality is today our internet coverage is the best in the marketplace, but we have a whole lot more to do in terms of rolling it out. So this year our strategy is very simple. Everywhere where we have voice, you'll have data. And what's better, it's not only edge data, it's actually 3G data. So you're actually getting very quality internet. And our minimum experience we'd like to give to people is 1 megabit per second. Now, 1 megabit per second simply means video quality coverage. So everywhere where we have voice, by the end of the year, you will have 3G data, and it will be a minimum speed expectation of 1 megabit per second. So we should be able to think about delivering not just internet usage and internet browsing, but also video as well.
Phil, thank you so much for your time. And what we always do is ask at the end of these interviews, you're a man who uses your smartphone devices. What phone do you use, and what's your favorite app?
Okay, so right now I'm using an LG G3 at home. It's a beautiful new device. And my favorite app right now would have to be Spotify. It's amazing. I love it to death.
Spotify. And your favorite band that you listen to on Spotify?
Right now it's Caspian, but normally it's Linkin Park.
Caspian, Linkin Park. So a true rocker at heart is Phil Patel, Vodacom's Chief Commercial Officer. Phil, thank you for joining us, and thanks for sharing us interesting insights on the new Vodacom Kicka, which will be available early August and at a price of 549 Rand. Incredible value for money.